In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit fancy, and as an ultra low sugar strawberry sorbet with a balsamic glaze. Yeah, we're going to do something a little bit different here. I don't normally go fancy with flavors, but you know, strawberries and balsamic vinegar is a very common, popular flavor combination in fancy restaurants and, you know, the world of the internet. Whatever that was. There's a couple of things. I'm not making this zero sugar because there's no point. Strawberries have a fair bit of sugar in them anyway, so making this zero sugar with other things, you're actually just dropping the sugar amount. So we're going to make this low sugar. We're going to use xylitol to do that. I'm going to add corn syrup for a texture change because corn syrup does something very unique to sorbets and ice cream. If you don't want to use that, then don't. It will have an effect on the recipe. It won't be as good as it could be, but it will still be good. We're going to do it in Ninja Creami because sorbets work really, really well in the Creami. We've got a nice few ingredients here. For those people that are going to ask me, can you use erythritol? The answer is no. I will do a video on erythritol in the next week or two to explain why you shouldn't use that in your ice cream and or sorbet. But for now, we're going to use tarragon. It's an excellent stabilizer. It does need heating, so let's get going and get this super delicious strawberry sorbet going. So the first thing we're going to need to do is weigh out our strawberries. I'm going to make this one tub size, one Ninja Creami tub size. So we need 135 grams of strawberries. We're going to process these on the hob and bring the mixture down. We're going to evaporate some of that water, so we're just going to give it a helping hand and chop up our strawberries into quarters. Like so. With our strawberries in there, we can now combine the rest of the ingredients. So let's shift this out of the way. We need to add to that 264 grams of water. This is going to come straight from the tap. 264 grams of water. Move this out of the way. And into this, we're going to add 68 grams of xylitol. There aren't many sugar substitutes that are actually good in ice cream. Xylitol is okay. 68 grams. Have to be pretty careful because it has a really strong effect on the freezing point. If you like, 68 grams, if you put in 75 grams, you're starting to get to the point where it won't freeze. So we need to be careful here, which is why a gram scale is really important in scientific-based ice cream and sorbet making. So with that in here, we are going to add half a gram of sea salt, just like a good pinch more than anything else. And because we're not aiming for zero sugar, again, no point, strawberries got sugar in them, we're going to add in corn syrup or invert sugar, 30 grams. And that is for texture. There we go. That's for texture. That changes the texture of any ice cream or sorbet more than you could ever imagine. So the last thing we need to do is our stabilizer. I'm going to use tarragon and 0.5 grams of our tarragon. Now what do we need to do is we need to get this onto a steady heat and get these strawberries cooked and softened. So we can get our pan on top here and just stir it a little bit. We're going to dissolve that xylitol into our water. We're creating the equivalent of a sugar syrup here, and we're going to cook our strawberries down in those until they're soft enough to break apart with a whisk or a fork. This will take about 10 or 15 minutes max. With our strawberries softened, they're just pushing up against the side of the pan and completely falling apart, which means that they're ready. We can turn the heat off and take it off that hot plate. We want this to cool down for about 10 minutes. Right, this is still hot, and we're gonna just put it in this container. We want that to cool down. It's not safe to put hot liquids in a blender, so we're gonna give that 5 or 10 minutes. Right, with this cooled down enough, make sure that lid's on properly. We're gonna pulse this to start with. And now we're just gonna put it on low for about 20 to 30 seconds. Because the liquid is warm in here still, be careful taking the lid off. If you do this with hot mixture, it will burst out the top. Like that. And that's the pressure building inside due to the hot air. So be careful. But when we take the lid off, we've got this amazing strawberry smell. This can go straight into, there we go. We've got a little tiny bit left over. This may settle down, but it's about 15 or 20 milliliters. It's not a lot. All over me. Oh, that tastes good. So now this can go straight into your freezer to harden off. Now, quick tidy up, we're gonna move on to the balsamic glaze. And for the balsamic glaze, we're gonna put some in, and we're gonna reduce it down on the hob. There you go, so that's, yeah, it's about 100 ml, something like that. And we're just gonna reduce it down on the hob. There's no point me filming this. Just gonna put it on hob, simmer it gently, and reduce it down by half. You can see that it's leaving that glaze on the bottom of the pan. All right, that's the indication that we're pretty much where we need to be. And it'll be ready for when our sorbet is completely frozen. So let's get this out of the pan into a little container, and we'll come back in a couple of hours. So with your Ninja Creamy tub in the freezer, you will see that it will start to layer up, and that's just the solids combining and the water separating. Just stir it all back together, put it straight back in the freezer. Taking it out of the freezer, so you've stirred it in the freezer during the freezing process, mix that solids layer back in. It's gonna happen with a high fruit solids sorbet. Let's get it spinning. Looking good. Right, time to get the machine off the top and get some dished up. There we have our strawberry sorbet, ultra low sugar with our balsamic glaze. What you can do, if you're just going to eat it out of the tub in the Creami, is take a chopstick and just make some holes down through it all the way to the bottom, and then pour some of your glaze in there. You don't want too much because it's strong. We've reduced it. It's super strong flavor. But we've dished some up in a bowl so you can see it. Let's get this back in the freezer. The balsamic glaze, super strong. The strawberry sorbet smells delicious. Excellent texture. That's the money. Yeah. Delicious. Obviously, the acidity of the balsamic glaze cuts straight through the sweetness of the strawberry sorbet using xylitol, which has a strong effect on the freezing point of any frozen dessert, ice cream, sorbet, sherbet, etc. Means you cannot use the same amount as you would do with normal sugar. You have to account for that. If a standard recipe calls for 150 grams of standard sugar, you put 150 grams of xylitol in, it's not going to freeze at all. It will stay liquid the entire time. So you need to learn about the freezing point depression of the sugar substitute that you're using. What we have here is an incredible texture, super delicious, ultra low sugar strawberry sorbet. If you don't want to use the corn syrup or invert sugar, then don't, but that does make the texture so much better. Obviously, strawberries have about 5% sugar naturally. So we can't do 0 sugar recipe here, because 5% of that weight of strawberries is sugar. But by using xylitol, we can keep that processed sugar down with only the inclusion of that corn syrup or invert sugar. Give this one a try. You will not be disappointed. It's super easy to do too. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.